Hello everybody, I'm Crystal from Android Authority, and I'm here at the Verizon and Motorola event in New York City because Motorola and Verizon have partnered up again to announce two new Droid phones, the Droid Turbo 2 and the Droid Max 2. We'll be covering both here on Android Authority, but for now, let's take a closer look at the Droid Turbo 2. This, of course, is a Verizon exclusive like last year's Droid Turbo. Now, durability and reliability were the main selling points of the phone with its huge battery and gripping materials. And this year, Motorola has taken the new Droid Turbo even further in these departments, as this is a world's first smartphone with a shatterproof screen. Yes, that's right. I dropped this phone on concrete, screen face down at least 4 times from shoulder height, and the phone screen was as good as new. Motorola claims this technology is called Moto Shatter Shield, which contains 5 layers that absorb shock like its rigid aluminum core. And its AMOLED display is actually a flexible one, so it actually bends during a drop to keep it from shattering. So, challenge accepted, Motorola. This is definitely going to be a lot of fun to test out and see just exactly how much it takes to finally shatter this screen. So make sure you stay subscribed here for that, but from what we have seen so far, the durability of this phone is truly remarkable. Now, speaking of that screen, here we have a 5.4 Quad HD AMOLED display, which is a little bigger than last year's Droid Turbo at 0.2 inches bigger. The display itself looks very good. Of course, with it being an AMOLED screen, we have really beautiful colors. They look very vibrant here, nice and saturated, deep and true blacks as expected from an AMOLED screen. It may not display the most accurate colors or be the brightest screen, but we'll need some more time to play with it in different lighting conditions. In our few moments of playing with the phone, we're very impressed with this display. Inside the Droid Turbo 2, we have a Snapdragon A10 processor with 3 gigs of RAM, so on paper it's a bit of a step up from the Moto X Pure. Now when it comes to the battery, Motorola still did not skimp on the capacity at 3,760 mAh. However, that is a little smaller than last year's 3,900 mAh battery, so it'll be interesting to see how this year's Droid Turbo performs. Motorola does claim, however, that the Droid Turbo 2 from a full charge can last for 48 hours, along with the Motorola's turbocharger, which can give the phone 13 hours of use in just a 15-minute charge. It also supports wireless charging. The phone is running Android Lollipop 5.1.1 out of the box. We're hoping for Marshmallow, of course, but hopefully this update isn't too far down the road, with the software being close to stock Android. With this being a Motorola phone, we have the famous Motorola features like the Moto display that activates with small movements or gestures like waving your hand over, twist to launch the camera, and flick to launch the flashlight. So far, we haven't run into any crashes or hiccups. The software seems to be holding up very well with this near stock Android look and feel, but we'll see if the Droid Turbo 2 can hold up after weeks of use. Another great addition to the Droid Turbo 2 is that now users have the freedom to customize its design with Moto Maker. It's been great to see Motorola expand Moto Maker to pretty much any Motorola device that comes out these days, so users can design the Droid Turbo 2 with the soft grip and leather materials that can be found on the Moto X Pure. What I have is this nice white soft grip backing that has a scaly pattern to it, and of course the nice nylon that users of the original Droid Turbo know and love. There's a lot going on the front of the Droid Turbo 2. We have the little sensors for the Moto display, the 5 megapixel front-facing camera, along with a front-facing flash. And now we do have a front-facing speaker located at the bottom, and even though it looks like there are 2 speakers on either side of this large Verizon logo, it's actually the right one that plays the sound. The speaker sounds pretty good. It sounds very crisp with nice treble to it, and it gets pretty loud too, but we'll have to do some more comparisons before we give our final verdict. However, it's definitely good to see a front-facing speaker. Last year's Droid Turbo featured a pretty great 21 megapixel camera, and this time around, we also have a 21 megapixel camera with a dual LED flash. We can probably expect photos of the same quality found in the Moto X Pure, and this year's Droid Turbo 2 has a bumped up 5 megapixel front-facing camera as well to hopefully capture a little more detail. We'll be testing the camera in depth later for a full review. There is no official word yet on full pricing of the Droid Turbo 2, but we do have monthly installment plans. $26 per month for the 32 gig model and $30 per month for the 64 gig model. So based on a 24-month payment plan, we're looking at $624 and $720 respectively. And by purchasing the 64 gig model, you will also qualify for a design refresh. So within a year, if you're not happy with your color scheme or texture backing that you chose, you can get a new Droid Turbo 2 with your updated design choices, which makes the 64 gig model that much more appealing. Verizon also has a new limited time trade-in program where you can trade in your old smartphones for up to $300, and this even includes phones that have cracked screens. The Droid Turbo 2 will be available to purchase on Thursday, October 29th, along with the other just announced Droid Max 2, which we have also covered, so make sure you check that out here on Android Authority. And yeah, that's been our first look at the Droid Turbo 2 from Motorola. Make sure you stay subscribed for more in-depth coverage and reviews of this phone, and our website, androidauthority.com, as we are your source for all things Android.